Hi, I'm Beth, and this video is brought to you by Babylock and the Accolade Serger. So today we're talking about quilt backs. There's no need for them to be boring. We're going to give you some tips and tricks for piecing your quilt back. So some ideas for pieced backs are using leftover blocks from the front of your quilt or just leftover fabric. It's a great way to tie in the front of your quilt with the back and gives you a fun reversible design. Another thing to think about is using those larger prints that you don't want to cut up and lose that fun design, or even panels are great on your backing as well. And if you're not very confident in your machine quilting, use a busy print on the back, then your stitches will blend right in. When you're piecing backing, you're often working with really big pieces and their width of fabric usually. You definitely want to remove the selvage edge because that's usually a tighter weave and you don't want that in your backing fabric. So a serger makes really quick work of this task because you're cutting and finishing at the same time. So we've set up the machine with a 4-thread overlock stitch, and I have put a couple pins in our backing pieces just to hold them together, but they're well out of the seam allowance. And now we'll just serge down this entire piece. So serging gives you a really quick way to finish this off, and bonus, it's really secure and the seam lays nice and flat. A couple more things to keep in mind. You should have your backing be 4 inches larger than your quilt top on all sides to allow for a little extra wiggle room. And if you're planning on long arming your quilt, the seam should run horizontally on your quilt. So when you're loading it onto the long arm, it's parallel to the bars. This allows for better loading and a smoother backing. And one more thing, usually when you're finished with your quilt, you're going to fold it in half. So if you can avoid the center with your seams, that is preferable. It will weaken your quilt over time as you fold it in that same spot. So those are our tips for better backing using your serger.